Victimhood is far more prevalent a condition and, frankly, more serious than COVID will ever be. I know, that sounds like a lot to claim. I'm going to say it again. Victimhood is more prevalent and serious than COVID. It's an almost universal response to life that is embedded in all the other defensive behaviors. For example, anger. Every single person who blows up in anger first felt victimized. They judged that something was done to them or something wasn't done for them. Victim. If I feel victimized, the unconscious reasoning is that now I'm justified because, well, poor me, I was treated badly, in attacking the perpetrator of the injustice toward me. Ooh, it's seductive reasoning. Let's look at lying. If I feel victimized, I lie to blame other people or exaggerate their responsibility for my pain. Or I excuse myself for any responsibility because how can I enjoy wallowing around in victimhood if I'm to blame for my own pain? So I excuse myself from any responsibility. That's what victims do. Number 3, I sometimes avoid being victimized preemptively. If I act like a victim, oh, poor me, everybody's hurt me, then people are less likely to offer critical comments or give me additional responsibilities. Victimhood just underlies all kinds of things. Withdrawing or running. I withdraw only because I was wounded, at least in my own mind, or I'm about to be, so that justifies my running away from things or pulling away or spending time alone in my room. Victimhood is everywhere. Other clues that you're looking at victimhood in your children or yourself include these. Complaining. It's just victimhood, but we call it complaining, so, I'm not a victim. Yeah, it's exactly what victims do. Whining. Whining is identical to victimhood. Justifying, another form of victimhood that's a little more clever. We have to be aware of how prevalent victimhood is, or our children will suck us into their victim stories, and we'll find that we can't teach them anything. Victims don't listen to anything except for agreement with their pain, and they're sneaky about it. A mother wrote to me about her 15-year-old daughter who's a skilled victim. At 15, she's an expert, a virtuoso, a victim virtuoso, and uses that to get out of almost any responsibility. Until recently, mom has always fallen for her daughter's clever tricks. They have far more time and practice at being a victim than the parents do at dealing with it. They're better at it than you. Recently, the daughter, Michaela, was using her cell phone at times she knew she shouldn't, and she was hiding that she was doing it. Duh, she's not going to do it out in public. And she was visiting forbidden social media that she was told to stay off of. And while she was there, she was spewing pretty ugly venom to her friends about her parents. So she was only breaking the rules, times 4 or 10. Her mother found Michaela's phone. She read the messages, saw the website history, and noted that she was using her phone far more than she'd been allowed and doing those other things that I mentioned. She brought all this to Michaela's attention. Now, what I'm going to do that's a little different from what I usually do is I'm going to translate victim. It's a language. No kidding. It's a language of its own, also called whine, same language, into English so that you can see how clever victims are. So mom caught her, and Michaela said, "You violated my privacy." That's just classic victimhood, usually said with a little more whine than I just mustered then. Here's the English version, the truth. I am the center of the universe, so I get to do anything I want. How dare you restrict my phone use in the first place? And now you're actually holding me accountable for my behavior? Are you kidding me? You expect me to be responsible for my choices? No kidding. That's the English translation to, "You violated my privacy." And we need to know that. No victim could possibly admit being what she was being here, a liar, selfish, and irresponsible. If they did that, they couldn't continue their pampered, selfish life. So instead, they turn their crime into a self-righteous attack. They have to attack you, they have to blame you. You violated my First Amendment rights, which frankly don't exist in your house. See how adversarial all victims are? It's their world, and everybody else had better conform or they're the enemy and deserve to be killed. Mom asked Michaela to describe what she had done, essentially to turn it into English, and what she learned from this experience. But Michaela, still speaking in victim, fussed and shook her head and just, you've all seen this attitude, and just increased the snottiness and refused to answer Mom's question. So what was she doing when she did that with the, attitude? In English, she was saying, even though there weren't very many words involved, "Are you stupid? Are you just a stupid cow? Have I not explained my being the center of the universe? Did you miss that? And now you demand an explanation from me, the queen? No, I explain nothing. I will just attack you repeatedly until you wake up." That's the truth of what the daughter was doing. And they really believe this. And if we don't see that they're doing it, we're dead, because we won't be able to address it. And sadly, if we don't address it, they're dead too. Mom could see that she was not equipped to handle the venom, which is smart of her. So she told Michaela to write out the answers to her questions about what Michaela had done. So later in the day, Michaela, of course, being the victim, didn't offer what she'd written. No, Mom was cleaning up, or I don't know. And she found what Michaela had written lying out on the table. It's not like she went and snooped through her closet. I won't read it all, but I'm just going to read parts of a 3-page letter that are illuminating to translate from victim to English. So Michaela writes, lots of words, but I'm going to do a few sentences. She said, "Every time I try to explain how I feel, it comes out wrong," with a whimper. Let's translate that into the truth. What she was really saying is, quote, "When I try to explain how my selfishness and entitlement are right, I get really confused because my reasoning becomes tortured. I find it difficult to explain something that is unexplainable. I look stupid even to myself trying to convince you that wrong is right, that the sun is shining in the middle of the night." That's what she's saying. It comes out wrong. So somehow magically it just comes out. No, it's because her reasoning is wrong. Then she said, "I'm just stressed because of the COVID lockdown." Well, COVID lockdown isn't convenient, to be sure, but for a kid, blaming lockdown is so tempting and such a lie. Lockdown makes life a bit more inconvenient, but it really only reveals who we really are. It's not like she owns a small business and the small business, like a restaurant, had to close. No, she has everything available except that she can't sit and face-to-face gossip with her friends and act like a victim. Now she's forced to do it online. That's just terrible. She said in the thing that she wrote that Mom found, "I feel misunderstood." English. "I want to convince you that I have life entirely figured out. I know everything that I need, and if you disagree with me, you are not understanding the truth." That's what that means. Or she said, "You've thrown a lot at me." English. "I am so resistant to listening, and I am so defiant and selfish that you have to repeat everything you say. You've had to teach me a lot of things and repeat them because I resist them and don't learn them willingly." Well, there's no way she's going to say that in English. So she says it in victim. And that's just from the first page. To all of you, your kids might sometimes tell you that they hate your nagging, for example, victim, or that you don't have to, or they'll say, you just don't have to keep repeating yourself. You might consider saying, "Apparently, I do have to repeat myself because I had to say it 5 times before you heard me. If you simply did what you knew was the right thing the first time, I promise you, if you just did it the first time, you would never hear me nag, ever. I'd never have to repeat myself." I couldn't resist as I was reading what Mom said Michaela wrote, because she just, copied the pages and sent me a scan. So I went to the second page, and then I just started laughing. She said, Michaela, we need to learn to work as a team. I still can't avoid laughing when I read that. Which, in English, you and I are peers, is what she's saying. You pay all the bills, you make all the hard decisions, you protect me, you provide the house, you take care of me in every way, you rescue me when I'm extra stupid, you do everything but diaper me. I do pretty much nothing, except sometimes I take out the garbage if you nag me. I don't know how to live independently at all. It turns out that social media isn't independence. But the daughter continues in English. But we're equals. Despite the fact that you do everything and I do nothing, we are equals in power and authority. So you need, Mom, to shape up and treat me like I do have some life skills, even though, well, I don't. That's what she's really saying in English. We need to work as a team. No, you are not your child's peer, I said to Mom. Your job is to love and teach. And your child's job is to listen and learn. That's her job. And you need to make that plain to her. This whole victim thing is just not her responsibility at all. In fact, it's nothing. Independence naturally evolves only after listening and learning. Entitlement, it turns out, is not a life skill. Michaela, writing, said, the new rules have made me feel claustrophobic. She's really got me going on the second page. In English, I'm an independent adult, even though I don't do anything, and you have to stop getting in my way and trapping me. It gets really kind of absurd sounding, doesn't it? It's hysterical. She just doesn't like it that laws have a price. Laws have consequences. It's not about you. It's about the laws of happiness. If you don't follow the laws of happiness, you're going to be miserable. And your mother is there to help you follow the laws so you can be happy. But you don't acknowledge them. All you acknowledge, I'm talking to the daughter now, obviously, all you acknowledge is what you want. Well, like I said, entitlement is not a life skill. In her writing, Michaela said, I feel trapped. Oh, poor baby. The truth is, she's saying, I hate having to live by the laws of the universe. Everybody else has to live by those laws. The planets live by the laws of the universe. Everybody has to pay attention to gravity and all the other laws, but I am very, very special. So I should be exempt. I should be able to do whatever I want, and then everybody else is responsible for cleaning up my messes and mistakes. Laws are just, oh, so restricting and annoying to us queens. We either live by laws, this is to everybody, or we suffer. Laws don't restrict us. They inform us about what works and what doesn't. That's it. That's all laws do. That's why we learn them. If we live by them, we're freer, not restricted. Try ignoring the law of gravity, for example, and see how long you live. Whereas if I'm aware of the laws of gravity and I keep them, I'm much less likely to suffer harm. I don't jump off cliffs, for example. It's the same with the laws of happiness. Keep them, the laws of happiness. In other words, feel loved, be loving, be responsible, or you die emotionally and spiritually. No kidding. Listening to a victim is simultaneously like, one, a stand-up comedy routine, because of how tortured and absurdly selfish the reasoning is. And two, it's like watching two trains approach each other on the same track. You see the crash coming, but you feel helpless to do anything about it, because usually victims won't let you. So, to the mother, Michaela is not learning anything here. She's proven with her own experience, her own mouth, her behavior, she's proven that she's so entitled that she refuses to learn from you. She's proven she can't be trusted to keep the rules, pretty much none of them. She's in complete denial about her behavior, only too willing to blame everything on you, if she's even willing to acknowledge the behavior at all. And she's headed in the years to come for quite a disaster. That's a problem. You've been teaching her with words now for some time. It's time for consequences to teach her, because words ain't working. That's when you use consequences. A suggestion. You do whatever you want, but I suggest you tell her that you're going to take her phone, not for a day. I've heard parents talk about imposing consequences, and they take their child's phone, not making this up, I couldn't, for 5 minutes. Oh no. They didn't have their phone they might have missed a text. No, you take her phone for a month. And if you find out that she's using other people's phones instead of hers, which by the way is very common because they're very clever, then you take away the phone for a year. I am not kidding. Phones there's no law written everywhere you have to have a phone to be happy. Look at all the thousands of years that people have done just fine without a phone. You'll be saving her life. It's that important. Also inform her that you're not discussing this with her. This is not an invitation for her to tell you what her opinion of this is. No, you tell her that this is what's going to happen. And if she gets snotty about the month with no phone, which is pretty much guaranteed, warn her once. But then you say, I can easily make it 2 months, then 3, and then eventually I'll just sell your phone. And I've had quite a number of parents do that, and their children have been way better off. These are very dangerous devices. The instant a child gets on the phone, they're inviting the world to be their parent. They get the opinion of everybody, and it turns out there aren't that many really wise people on the internet to advise them. So parents, pay attention when your kids speak. They're telling you what planet they're on with every word and gesture and expression. Once they're sufficiently settled on the victim planet, achieving escape velocity and getting off the planet gets increasingly difficult by the day. Keep loving and teaching, and where consequences are necessary, don't be afraid. You're saving their life.